Welcome to the Starfleet Training Simulator. Our system is currently configured to train command crew of Aegis-class starships. Here you may learn about the roles and responsibilities of each officer on the bridge, and how to operate all of the controls of their command stations. Feel free to experiment and get comfortable with the ship here in the simulator before moving on to the real thing. As captain, you are in overall command of the crew. It is your responsibility to communicate with and to coordinate the actions of the other officers on the bridge. You'll receive important updates on mission status and also have direct control of the main view screen. The captain's objectives feed contains vital information about your ship's mission. Updates from support crew and Starfleet Command are reflected here, so that you will always know what your crew needs to accomplish. Open the objectives feed now. Some objectives also have more detailed information. Sometimes you, as captain, must choose between different ways to complete an objective and direct your crew accordingly. In all cases, your crew depends on you to keep them informed of their goals. Select the objective for more information. Sometimes you will receive additional information to help with your mission. Keep an eye out for your intel feed, located near your objective readout for tips and hints. As captain, you can answer a hail when messages from Starfleet or other ships are received. If the message is accompanied by video, it will be displayed on the main view screen. Answer the incoming hail now.
Aegis, this is Captain Uku of USS Huxley. Our system checks are complete. We're ready to go. We'll stand by and follow you out when you're ready.
At any time while on the bridge, you can use an external view to see what is going on outside and around the ship. As captain, you can access basic information about your ship's status. Open your status displays now. The status information available to you is helpful, but no substitute for the more detailed knowledge of your chief engineer. As captain, you have the same maps at your fingertips as your helm and tactical officers. You may use these to aid communication, to identify a target for tactical, or to specify a destination for helm. Targets and nearby destinations are selected from the local map, which shows objects of interest around you. Open the local map view. Now touch any object on the map to select it as your target. Some orders you give to the crew require you to first designate a target or destination, exactly as you just did. When playing alone, or with AI members of the command crew, the captain gives orders to the AI officers. To give an order to a specific officer, look at them and use the orders system to select from the available commands. Remember, some commands will first require that you select a target or destination. Try ordering your chief engineer to prioritize power to engines. Some orders apply to the entire crew. To access these orders, look towards the central console in front of you. First, select the closest ship from your local map. Then try ordering the crew to investigate it.
New coordinates, adjusting course.
When playing alone, or with AI members of the command crew, the captain gives orders to the AI officers. To give an order to a specific officer, look at them and use the orders system to select from the available commands. Remember, some commands will first require that you select a target or destination. Try ordering your chief engineer to prioritize power to engines. Some orders apply to the entire crew. To access these orders, look towards the central console in front of you. First, select the closest ship from your local map. Then try ordering the crew to investigate it.
Aye, aye. Setting throttle to full.
Aye. Maximizing power to engines.
Aye,
Following
aye.
the target.
Selected. Firing. Roger
Staying
that.
with them.
Updating
Follow.
target. Aye. Opening fire.
Following the
Understood.
target.
Locking on target. Initiating scan.
Adjusting
Yes,
heading
Captain.
for new
Ceasing fire.
coordinates.
Scan complete, Captain.
Impulse engines allow the ship to rapidly traverse great distances within a star system. When playing with an AI crew, You will need to choose a destination and give the orders to prepare for and initiate impulse travel. First, choose a destination from your impulse map. You need to select a destination from the impulse map. Now give the order to prepare for impulse. Your chief engineer will give more power to the engines, and your helmsman will lay in a course and align the ship. Tell the crew to engage impulse flight.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Diverting power for impulse.
Plotting impulse course. We're ready to go. Hi.
The ship's warp drive can generate a warp field, distorting space around the Aegis and allowing you to travel to other star systems much faster than the speed of light. When playing with an AI crew, the captain chooses a destination and gives the orders to prepare for and initiate warp travel. Always bear in mind that charging the warp coils consumes most of the ship's power. The Aegis will not be able to maintain a full combat stance during these critical seconds. To go to warp, first choose a destination from your warp map. You need to select a destination from the warp map. Now give the order to prepare for warp. Your chief engineer will direct power to the warp coils, and your helmsman will lay in a course and align the ship to the correct heading.
Affirmative. Maximizing power to engines.
Aye, Captain.
Preparing for warp. Adjusting power.
Now tell your crew to engage the warp drive.
Lining up for warp. Course
coils
plotted.
ready.
On your mark. Aye, understood.
As helmsman, you are the ship's navigator, responsible for maneuvering the ship and navigating within and between star systems. Your crew depends on you to get the ship wherever needed, to avoid collisions with hazards in space, and to maneuver for tactical advantage in combat situations. Your local map can be used to mark ships and objects as waypoints, to check your proximity to hazards, and gauge when you are close to being detected by hostiles. Touch any target on the map to select it. basic maneuvering controls allow you to give the ship forward or reverse thrust, to steer the ship to port or starboard, and to move the ship up or down on its vertical axis. The amount of thrust you can give depends on the amount of power your chief engineer allocates to engines. The more power your engines have, the more responsive the ship will be. Maneuvering controls are only available when your local map view is active. The throttle controls your speed and also allows you to reverse or make a full stop. Your ship's impulse drive allows you to travel quickly between planets and other points of interest within a star system. To travel via impulse, you will first need to plot a course by choosing a destination on the impulse map. Once the course is plotted, you will then need to align your ship with the appropriate heading and engage the impulse drive. Be aware, the impulse drive cannot be engaged unless the chief engineer has allocated sufficient power. Select any point of interest in the star system to plot a course to that destination. Now return to the local view and steer the ship to line up with your plotted course. Grab and push your throttle to engage the impulse drive. The ship's computer will automatically follow the course you plotted.
Calculating travel vector. Plotting course.
The ship's warp drive can distort space around the ship to propel it faster than light across the vast distances between star systems. The tremendous amount of energy needed for warp travel will require you to coordinate closely with the chief engineer. To travel by warp, it is your responsibility to plot a course by selecting a star system on your warp map. When the course is plotted, you will need to align the ship with the proper heading. Before you can enter warp, your chief engineer will have to prepare the ship and charge the warp coils. Open your warp map now. Select a star system to plot a course to it. Now return to the local view and steer the ship to line up with your plotted course.
Warp coils charged.
Push your throttle to engage the warp drive. The warp coils can only remain charged for a limited time. The chief engineer will need to prepare the ship for warp again. Various systems of the ship affect how easily other vessels can detect the Aegis. The Aegis is designed to avoid detection at ranges where other Federation vessels would be easily visible to another ship's sensors. As helmsman, the more thrust you are using, the farther away the Aegis can be detected. On your local map, you'll see a ring that expands and contracts as the ship's signature increases or decreases. When other ships come within that ring, they will detect the Aegis. As chief engineer, you support all other members of the bridge crew by keeping the Aegis operating in top condition. You monitor vital status information about the ship's systems, allocate power needed for maneuvering and combat, and manage the ship's power grid to compensate for damage or boost its capabilities. You also manage the ship's repair teams and keep an eye on how visible the Aegis is to other ships in the area. Your system's display gives vital information about the status of the ship's various systems at all times. When your ship is suffering from negative effects, this panel provides information about the source and severity of the effect. As chief engineer, you have more detail about your ship's status than any other member of the crew. Activate your system's display now. How you allocate power determines how effective each of those systems is. As situations change,